Cue recording.
Hey there, welcome one and all to another Toonkind at 12th. Yes, we are here again on the Xerox server, and I would be Morski-Ez, also known as Morski. And, well, I have my little lad Hugh, and I am joined here with the wonderful, fantastic, fantabulous.
Hi, I'm Whirlwind Gale, otherwise known as Gale or Whirlwind. Take your pick. And I am also here. I'm going to be playing, once again, the He Who Funky Bird Lawyer.
Yeah. And, well, on today's day, it's another post-broken message FPS, so I don't know how much we'll talk of it, but there might be spoilers, so fair warning. And going off of that, so he's managed to visit a couple people, but he heard that another one of his friends was involved with whatever that mess was, so, he kind of wants to see how Memoir is doing. It's been a little while anyhow, so, time for a survival role since he is coming over to Halloween. You just like, oh, you know what happens? Like, he walks into town, walks a little bit, and it's just like, hi, Kara, starts chattering. Kara probably takes him, like, on a full tour of town before actually lending him towards wherever Memoir is.
Mm-hmm. Especially because Memoir's, main haunt of choice, as it were, is out in the middle of the fucking woods.
Oh, makes sense. So just, like, it takes a little while, probably because it's in a further part of town then. And, like...
I mean, do you want to... I have an idea.
Yes?
I have an idea. Do you want to say Hugh gets lost in the woods a little bit?
Yeah, I'm down. It probably then takes a little while. Like, Kara took Hugh on a bit of a jaunt, but he sees he's been led to the woods, so he's just, over here? Hugh has never been to these woods before. He doesn't have a map either. The cat-bird's child is lost.
Hey Hugh, roll perception.
Sure, I'd love to. That's a D20 plus 7. 14.
Yeah, that's enough. Hugh, you are walking through the woods, and it's very much, that one scene in Beauty and the Beast where you've got, like, the pretty path with the golden light shining through the leaves, casting a warm glow all around. It's that kind of atmosphere, which is why it's why you notice it when a shadow passes over you. Not a big shadow.
Honestly, he's probably taking out his staff, because if he got kidnapped again while in Halloween Town, his brothers would, well, they might kill him just a little.
They'd never let him hear the end of it, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, that much is a certainty. So, like, he's gonna pull his staff out of Hammer Space real quick, and he's gonna look around to try and see if he can view whatever that shadow is, and he's gonna say, excuse me? Who's there?
Okay, are you rolling something for that?
This is just, he pulled out the staff.
Alright. Roll me perception again.
Okay. Oh, no. Dice are really being mean to him. Possibly Hugh, like, turns around and ends up tripping over a branch, so now he's on his butt. He fell to the floor.
Okay. So, Rather than see anything, instead you hear like the fluttering of wings and the rustling of feathers, and you hear a branch creak over your head, and then you hear a very familiar laugh, and just yeah, what are you doing on the floor?
I trip. He is a little bit pink, but he looks up and then he waves. Hi.
Memoir is perched on a branch in a tree and just casually waves. Like, he's doing that pose that, you know, all the cool characters in the high school animes do, where they're just leaned against a wall with their arms crossed looking at you.
Of course, of course. Honestly, though, Hugh seeing that and Hugh seeing Memoir up in a tree like that. Memoir, I don't know if Memoir has seen Hugh with his bird tail yet. But Memoir, you see Hugh's bird tail just kind of perk up a bit, and he's now gonna clamber on the tree to reach you.
Memoir will scoot a little along the branch to allow him some space to get up there that's closer to the tree trunk so the kid doesn't fall.
Yeah, good idea. And yeah, that is a 24, so, like, he clambers up A-okay. You see him, like, wibble wobble just a bit, like, tail flared out so he can balance easier.
Memoir does snort at that because, you know, he's been walking around on these trees for the last few months. This is second nature at this point.
That is so fair. Hugh on his end is a little more used to running around on rooftops rather than trees, so he's just making sure he doesn't fall.
Oh, fancy seeing you around my neck of the woods.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a little while, hasn't it? And, I heard that a lot happened recently. I wanted to see how you were.
Well, as you can tell. And he does a little, you know, possibly just showing off. He does a little bit of a spin on the branch that he's standing on and does the, you know, dramatic jazz hands.
Of course, of course. Hugh gives, like, a little clap, but, can Hugh just roll an insight to make sure Memoir's telling the truth?
Sure.
Because I love Hugh, all the characters Hugh is close to. Most of them have lied to him when going, yeah, I'm totally fine. That's a 25.
Well, Memoir is not an addition to that list. He is genuinely fine. Like,
Good.
obviously, that whole ordeal was stressful, and Gibbs is a close friend of his, so that was unpleasant.
Yeah.
But unlike the others, he has healthy fucking coping mechanisms.
Good. Hugh is glad. Like, Memoir, if you're looking at Hugh, you do actually see him relax a bit, just like, okay, good. You're closer to how Decimal was after all of that. Good.
Not quite as detached, of course, but
Yeah, it's,
I have my ways of dealing.
that's
Speaking
good,
of
I'm
which,
glad.
speaking of which, where exactly were you trying to go?
Well, I asked Kara where you were.
Hmm.
Then I think Kara took me around a fair bit of town, but it was interesting seeing what was happening, and then they took me over here. So I assumed that meant, well, you are here, which, hey, just like, he, like, he raises his hands a bit, or, like, points a bit towards you, and we're like, you are here.
I am here. That is definitely true. You're a bit off from my usual location, though. You're lucky I happen to be doing laps in the area.
Thank you. I've never been here before, so, I got kinda lost.
Oh, goodness, that's right. Memoir does, like, tap his chin and then grins at Hugh and says, you want to see something cool?
Yes, I would.
All right. And Memoir kind of grins and stretches and flares his wings out and then holds a hand out to Hugh and just, how good is your flying?
Well, I can fly at this point. I'm still learning, but I can fly. And like, there's a pause, and then like, walks over, takes your hand, and poof, his wings are out. He gives them a little shake, and like, you can see he's ready to jump off.
Mm-hmm. And Memoir just grins and spreads his wings out really, really big. And in one big dramatic motion, whoosh, you guys are up and off into the sky.
Hugh kind of does a little meow chirp as you guys suddenly lift up, but wee! He spreads his wings up real wide as well in response.
I'm sorry, I've been playing too much Sky lately. My brain just gave me, they're doing Daisy Chain.
Yes, exactly.
Child Daisy Chain.
Yeah. So clearly, Memoir has the black cloak and Hugh has dark blue. As you're flying, like, Hugh's definitely looking around in wonder.
You guys are flying not too high above the treetops, but definitely high enough that you're not going to get like scraped by any branches.
Yeah, like no sudden really need to be made.
Mm-hmm. You know, maybe one little, for fun loop around a particularly tall tree or something, but
yeah.
You can kind of see where Memoir is leading you because there is a sort of clearing in the near distance.
Okay. You kind of see Hugh make a noise of curiosity, I suppose, as you approach.
And Memoir kind of smiles and then, with a couple flaps of his wings, takes you guys a little higher because dramatic swoop time, because swooping is fun.
Of course.
And then you guys are diving down towards a massive field of poppies.
Oh, nice. There's like another chirp from Hugh. I imagine as they go down, Hugh actually lets go of Memoir's hands, and he does a little bit of a twirl before like stopping up or like doing that quick up swoop to kind of stop the speed.
Mm-hmm. Memoir follows suit, doing a little flip as he lands. And roll perception for me, because you are in a new area.
Sure. Wow.
You,
Does Hugh
honey.
just get like a face full of puppies or something?
You know what? I think with that roll, Hugh, you do your little flip to land, and you land on your feet, and then roll a funny. You fall face first into these flowers, and you are just surrounded by poppies on all sides. You see nothing else.
Yeah, that's it exactly. Memoir, you only see the tail peeking up from the flowers.
Memoir is definitely not laughing, and if anyone says he is, you have no evidence.
Indignant squeak from Hugh. Just, hey, I'm still learning.
You'll get the hang of it eventually. Come here. And okay. Memoir will just offer a hand to help the kid up.
Yeah, he will take it. Just like, I imagine he's shaking his head a bit, but there's still some poppies in his hair.
Memoir will like deliberately pick one and then tuck it behind his ear as a joke.
Aww. Honestly, like, Hugh pauses, like takes one of the random puppies from his hair. How tall is Memoir again?
Memoir is 5'0".
Okay, so he would be able to reach. He does the same in turn, like tucks the puppy behind Memoir's ear. And now we match.
And now we match. Don't worry about the rough landing. You'll get used to it as time goes on.
Yeah, it's I've had an easier time with the slower landings, but I haven't had that many chances to fly yet. It's a little tricky in town.
Oh, you need to come out here more often then. I've got plenty of space out here for practice, which is good because it's very relaxing, honestly.
I've had fun the times I flew, and yeah, sure, I'd love to.
All right, and at that point, Memoir kind of taps your shoulder and gestures for you to look behind you. And that is when you see Memoir's barn.
Ah, just kind of see the exclamation point above Hugh's head, and oh, is this where you live?
Well, I don't live here, but this is my workspace, my home away from home, as it were. It's my haunt of choice. It's where I spend most of my time.
Oh, okay. It looks neat.
Thank you. Do you want to go inside?
Yeah, sure.
And Memoir will lead Hugh to the barn.
Cool. Hugh follows. I like, you can tell I've also been playing Sky. I'm just imagining, like, Henry taken. Hugh cheerfully hops behind Memoir.
I mean, these two are the Sky Kids.
Yeah, yeah. They are the two resident birds.
They're the Nickel Squad designated bird duo.
Exactly.
And Memoir leads the way into the barn. It is very cozy and warm inside, and you can see what looks like a dining room table in the process of being restored / carved / polished. It seems like Memoir kind of just picks up a task with it and then half finishes it and then gets distracted by another task.
I mean, that's fair. Like, you definitely see Hugh staring at it, but in a, that looks nifty. And then it's like, you'll probably be able to see Hugh, like, tilt his head as he figures out, oh, which parts is Memoir currently doing, or what seems most finished. Before he decides to look around and, like, well, see the rest of this place.
It's big on the inside, that's for sure. You can kind of smell something vaguely chemical from over in one corner where you've got the rust remover and whatnot. There are shelves full of finished and unfinished projects. There is enough tools that you could probably build a house with just what's in this building alone.
Nice.
Over in the corner that's kind of closest to the door, there's a fireplace set up in the corner. There's sofas arranged in sort of a ring around that with a coffee table in the middle and a tea set sitting on top of that.
Hey,
and then there's the stairs that lead up to the loft.
I think so you can see Hugh gazing around, and he'd probably ask Memoir like a couple of questions about the things he sees. And then as they're passing one of the tables, he's gonna see if he can be sneaky about this. So I guess I'll roll sleight of. Low roll. You can see he's still being quite distracted by the things around, but Hugh slid a little origami crow onto one of the tables before going back to rejoin you.
Memoir doesn't comment on it. He lets the kid think he's being sneaky and just hides a smile about it.
Hugh. How have things been in general for you? Cause, like, on my own end, I've mostly been recovering at home, and March and I managed to figure out a couple cooking projects, and I've been working more on my magic. How's it been on your end?
You know, it's been how it's been. Memoir kind of shrugs and says, there's some lingering effects, but we learn to deal with them. We're doing our best. We've got coping mechanisms. We've got ways to keep it from affecting our day-to-day life. We've got people who will hound us if we're being too dismissive about our own problems, so that's good.
That's good. I'm one of them. Hugh gives you a little determined look.
Memoir will just reach over and ruffle his hair.
It's weak.
I haven't managed to get back into any of my usual law stuff lately, but that's just because I haven't had any clients, so I've been keeping myself busy with this. And he kind of gestures at the barn. Various different projects that I pull from the nearby junkyard and fix them up and make them look nice.
Okay. Good luck. Well, I don't know much about it itself, but it looks really neat what you're doing.
Thank you.
I'm glad to see things are okay as well. Some of the others don't seem as well.
Things have been rough. It's okay if people aren't okay. And it's understandable that they aren't okay. Things have been.
Yeah, yeah, I've managed to visit Gibbs, and we had a pretty nice time in the end. It's really heavy. At one point, it flopped over me, and then I ended up falling asleep because I couldn't move, and it couldn't move. And I've also seen Lynn briefly. You want to roll me an insight on that?
I will happily roll an insight on that. 21.
Cool. Hugh's worried about her. He's really worried about her.
Memoir just kind of sighs and picks up a screwdriver and rolls it between his fingers and looks at Hugh and how many bullets has she got?
She hasn't shown me yet, but Hugh pauses, taps his foot, and it's like, so I know this situation has affected her a lot, but the way she seems, it's like she's expecting some. Honestly, Decimal is also expecting something, but like on his side, he's a bit apprehensive about what's to come. Lynn almost seems acceptant of it, which
It's
you know how
worrying.
you know how she generally is, right? It's that kind of reaction doesn't bode well.
No, it doesn't. Memoir will kind of flop down on one of the couches and pat the spot next to him for Hugh to sit down.
Yeah, Hugh flops right beside him.
We can't control what the good detective does, but we can at least keep an eye on her. I see her every morning on my way to and from the barn, I always stop by network, so if I notice anything too wrong, I'll let you know, all right?
Thank you, yeah, and well, I've been visiting here myself, so I'll try to check on her a bunch too. I'll keep you updated on what I know, yeah?
Mm. Wouldn't do to have the one person who's somewhat a professional at knowing what they're doing go off the rails, would it?
Nope, definitely not.
We need our adults.
Exactly. Though it's weird thinking of Lynn as an adult. Like, I know she's my aunt, but like, she feels more like an older sister at times, you know? It's like how it's weird of thinking that Krager is technically an adult. He's more like an older brother, you know? It doesn't feel like an adult.
Memoir just chuckles at that and shakes his head and says, "No, they're both a bit on the reckless side to fall into the responsible adult trope too well, hmm?"
Yeah, you just like he's just nodding his head like, yeah, exactly, you get me.
Memoir just laughs and he shakes his head and sighs and says, "Well, very least, they're older than we are, so they're legally required to be more responsible than we are."
Yeah, yet somehow my brothers and I keep on being the ones who check in on Lynn and Gregory like, you haven't blown anything up, have you? You have managed to actually take a full night's of rest, or well, okay, Lynn is constantly bringing us food. She has that handled at least, and now that Gregory's near her a lot more, she'll make sure he's eating enough, so.
There we go. They're teaching each other responsibility. They really are a good match.
Yeah. Man, it's kind of funny thinking how those two had kind of a rough first meeting, but now they're so close. It's nice.
Memoir smiled. Sometimes the best relationships are formed out of mutual animosity turned to friendship.
Yeah. It's. Did you know that the first time I ever met Lynn, she tried to accost Gregory?
Goodness.
Yeah, this was even before I met my older brother. Like, well, we met Decimal about a month later, but like it was at this festival called the Advent Halloween Town, not Halloween Town mistake. But the impression I got was like she looked at all of us as being March Boomer and I, and saw how we were with Gregory. So she was immediately suspicious of him because she saw the what's it called? Wanted poster? Wanted poster that Gregory had.
Criminal scum corrupting the youth. Oh dear, how terrifying.
I know. But
Never mind that kids will get into their own mischief if you leave them to their own devices, and I'm sure you are one of the few people who couldn't be corrupted if we shoved you into a well of evil. You'd come out the side. You'd come out the other side glowing.
she's getting a bit pink again. Well, I mean, I've been learning to be sneakier. A pause, but no, I can't lie to save my life.
Memoir just grins.
I mean, what do I say? He's just pink now.
Memoir is teasing him.
Oh yeah, it's great. I think you're gonna get a pout from Hugh in the end. You are correct, of course.
Hugh gets another affectionate head pat.
I think with this head pat, like when you're about to remove your hand, Hugh actually pauses, puts his own hands on your hand. Your hand is back on his head.
Okay. Memoir will just shrug and just scruff the kid.
Does
What about
Memoir do
you?
anything?
He just kind of ruffled Hugh's hair and he smiles and says, "How about you? You've asked how I'm doing. You've asked how things have been around here. You've expressed concern for Lynn, but what about you? Are you doing all right?"
Yeah. I'm fairly okay. It's that weird thing of I'm not surprised with what happened with my father and everything, but I'm still coming to terms with it. I am okay. I have my brothers with me and I have everyone here. I'm coping. I guess it's just time helps, you know.
Time heals all wounds.
Mm.
Omar kind of sighs and wraps a wing around Hugh, pulling him into a sort of side hug.
Oh, yeah, you're getting a wing hug right back from Hugh. It's I don't know if I'll ever know what to think on that, but at least on everything else it's better. It's been kind of weird getting used to having a tail, if I'm honest.
Memoir snorts and his own tail kind of flicks in response and just, oh, you get used to it. It's a matter of balance more than anything. And finding pants that fit.
Yeah, it's well, at least they're easy enough to adjust and like. Well, I guess Decimal's tail is different to mine, but he said the same thing you did. That well, it gets easier.
It's like any body. You get used to having it after a while, and then you just don't notice it's there. You know, right up until you go and trip on your own tail feathers like a dog.
Oh, yeah, I think maybe the most frustrating thing is when I forget about it and then I flick my tail on instinct and then you know when you suddenly remember it's there because it touches your leg, so you just kind of jump.
Memoir laughs and says, "Yeah, I know that feeling."
Yeah. It's definitely gotten a laugh out of March, and Decimals teased me over it. He's pouting again.
Memoir just pats him sympathetically.
But it's really interesting, I suppose, just figuring these things out. It's a lot easier to fly now with the tail. Having kind of something to steer with in the air, aside from my legs. And it's definitely made balancing on the tops earlier easier.
I don't know about rooftops, but I mean, it certainly helps with balancing on branches when I have to go and stop for a landing in the woods. So.
Makes sense. It's, oh, Craigrie's mention it to me, and we figured out it looks like my wings resemble a swallow's.
Makes sense. You seem like the sort.
Ah, thank you. Um, so possibly my tail feathers will get longer later.
Entirely possible.
Sidebar, I'm just giving this to you because you are a bird, even if you're a different kind of bird. But yeah, Hugh's feathers are those of a juvenile swallows.
Mm-hmm. This is still a
So,
fledgling, Your Honor.
yeah, this is still a fledgling. He will be getting the tail streamers when give it a couple more years.
Meanwhile, Memoir is just sitting here in just adult crow.
Yeah. Hugh might only be like Hugh might be actually yeah, he's 19 now. Hugh might be 19, but he's still baby in spirit and will be well. He's just eternal baby. He gets to be fledgling for a while longer.
Meanwhile, Memoir's age is confusing and questionable.
It's okay, just don't think about it too much.
Technically, he's less than 2 years old, but also technically he's an adult. Don't worry about it.
It's fine. It's just tune age things.
Mostly, he's like roughly in the same age group as Decimal.
Yeah. Which technically just means a year older than Hugh.
Yeah, but also he's only 2 years old. He's baby.
Yeah. They're both the birds and the babies of the bunch.
The baby birds of the bunch.
Exactly. um oh, though I've been able to practice my magical whole bunch. I figured a couple of more powerful spells.
Oh,
Would you
do
would you like
tell.
me to yeah, would you like me to show you some actually, though we'll want to get to somewhere more open and that you're okay that there's a bit of damage. The spell
Memoir nods and Memoir will nod and help Hugh up off of the couch and lead him outside to sort of around the side of the barn to where there's a sort of pond with a bunch of ducks in it. And there's some pretty thick looking trees around there that already have some scorch marks. You can tell that this is where Memoir has practiced a couple spells of his own.
Alrighty. Like Hugh Hugh looks and saying all of this is like, okay, cool, this will be perfect. Well, check this out. And with a little bit of a flourish, uh there's what looks like it looks like a playing card. It's in the shape of a playing card that looks to be just made out of light in his hand. And then in that little clearing, um the light of dawn shines down on the location, and there's a 30-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder of bright light that's glimmering. Hughes cast the dawn spell.
Memoir will applaud.
Thanks. So I managed to figure this one out. I also know immolation, but that's not really one I want to use here.
Yeah, wood, fire, not exactly the best combination.
Yeah. And that one's easier to contain when you're aiming at a particular target, but you can tell he doesn't want to cast that on anyone here.
Memoir nods.
And then Hugh does a think, and it's like, then I figured out this neat spell called Banishment. I learned that one a little while ago, but I got to practice it more. And it's how the spell works is that whoever is targeted gets placed in. Well, the definition is a harmless demiplane. For whatever reason, when I tried casting the spell, it seems the person gets thrown into Big Bird's mini mall. I don't know why, but
Memoir
seems
will
like
just snort.
but the person gets placed in one of the back rooms. That's when I figured that out.
Incredible.
Yeah. Don't know why. I just kind of, cause you're finding a place to put the person, right? So I go and grab for whatever feel. Well, I went and grabbed for whatever felt most familiar, and I guess it was the mole.
Memoir nods.
It's like, it's kind of weird being able to sense these things, but there were like it felt like there were a couple places that could be accessed, so I went with what felt safest.
Memoir nods.
And let's see, oh, I got to practice Dimension Door more.
Oh, that one's a fancy one.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Hugh has a glimmer in his eyes. Do you want to try it out with me?
Sure, why not?
Hugh kind of looks around first to decide where's a good place to teleport to, but he offers his hand.
Memoir will take it.
Cool. And then there's a pause, and then it's a little bit like there's a crackling rip in reality for a moment. But the two of you can just go through. And now, Memoir, you and Hugh are vibing on the roof of your barn.
Incredible. Memoir does do the polite applause again.
Thanks. So that's a couple of the things I've managed to practice.
You're doing amazing.
He just kind of rubs the back of his head, but he's a Ghibli and he's doing the happy hair floof. There may be some flowers.
Memoir kind of smiles and says, I actually learned a new spell of my own if you'd like to see.
Ooh, yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, we'll have to get back to the ground first, but he will hold a hand out for Hugh to take.
Yeah, Hugh takes it and they can nicely float down.
Mm-hmm.
They
glide back down to the ground.
Yeah.
All right, now let's see if I know how to do this. Memoir you guys are standing kind of in the middle of the poppy field area that's just a bit outside the barn.
Mm-hmm.
And okay. Memoir will smile and press his hands together. And the air seems to get almost dusty from what you can see.
Huh.
There's faint sparkles that appear in the air around Memoir and start filling more and more of a space within a 300-foot area.
That's funky. Can you try rolling Arcana to figure out what it is?
Sure. Memoir's not done casting the spell yet, so...
This is just Hugh being curious. He's gonna try and see if he can figure out beforehand. Okay, so that's a low roll, but it's still a 20.
Yeah. You catch one of these, golden sparkles as it sort of drifts down. It kind of feels like you've caught a grain of sand in your hand. Very soft sand, but sand nonetheless. And you figure out, oh, this is Memoir's magic.
Oh, nice.
And more of this golden dust rests on the poppies around you. And then there's a whoosh, and you are no longer standing in a poppy field.
Oh?
Instead, you are standing on a frozen lake in an open, snowy field.
Ooh. best way I can explain Hugh's expression is with this. He's like, whoa.
All around you in a 300-foot radius area, the poppy field has been turned to a snowy ice field, where you would, typically expect to go figure skating. But as you kind of move your foot, the ice is not slippery underfoot.
Okay.
And you can still feel the flowers kind of tickling against your legs and whatnot, because Memoir has just cast hallucinatory terrain.
Ah. Yeah, he was looking around, sees this census and is oh, is this hallucinatory terrain?
Mm-hmm.
It's super neat.
Thank you.
You are getting a little clap from Hugh now.
Memoir does do a dramatic spin and then a bow.
Hey. We should so totally practice magic together sometime.
That sounds like fun.
Do you think we could try combining attacks or something?
Oh goodness, that would probably be interesting. Unfortunately, I've only got the 2 attack spells.
Still, you can do stuff with the non-attack spells too. Practice will make it easier to combine things, right? I don't know, maybe you do this and then, well, I don't really have ice spells, I guess. I do better with fire and thunder and lightning, but we can still figure things around, maybe make it a little less obvious it's an illusion, that kind of thing.
Memoir kind of tilts his head and taps his chin for a moment. And then, okay, so the spell doesn't say whether or not you can create weather effects. But because we're just having fun here, I'm gonna say Memoir claps his hands to shift the illusion, and turns it from a snowy ice field back into the poppy field, but now under a illusory rainstorm.
Ooh. You see Hugh's eyes light up at this, and then a little bit of fiddling, and then you hear a crackoom as Hughes cast Thunder Wave in the distance. Ta-da!
Memoir grins and applauds.
Yeah, so maybe we could do stuff like that. We'll figure out a super awesome combination.
Ah, yes, just like in the TV shows, no?
Yeah. Just like in the books.
Memoir smiles. I only have got the 2 attack spells, but admittedly, they're pretty cool.
Yeah?
Not to brag or anything, but he will kind of...
You should brag. Can I see them?
He'll pull out his umbrella and target a tree in the near distance. And he's going to cast Eldritch Blast.
Hey, nice.
Where is my Eldritch Blast? So, let's see. That's a 9, a tree DC. I don't know what a tree's DC is. A tree can't fucking move.
I figure a 9 still hits. Still hits it. It's not a nat 1.
Yeah, you'd have to roll a nat 1 to not hit an unmoving tree.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you see a scorch mark form on the tree as, where is my spell list? Because I have descriptions for memoir spells. Magic descriptions. There we go. Um, so Memoir points his umbrella at this tree, and it lets off from the point of it a streak of white light with golden smoke trailing off the edges, that makes the air almost shimmer and bubble around it like, melting glass or melting sugar.
Oh, that's fun.
Um, and when it hits the tree, rather than sounding like, hitting a tree, it sounds like you've hit a bell.
Huh. That's amazing. That's Eldritch Blast, right? It
Mm-hmm.
it resembles a little bit some of the other cases I've seen before, but yours is really unusual.
How so?
Um, well, when my dad uses his, at least his is more of just straight up crackling energy. And yours is
Mm.
definitely energy, but it almost seems to mess with. It's like it's also a warbling mess of energy, but it also seems to like bend reality just a little.
Mm. That makes sense. It's based on this thing. And he will sort of flick the umbrella and turn it upside down to show you the sort of circle of pure white non existence held in the handle.
Huh. Like, should I have Hugh roll an Arcana or something else to like see if he can like, I guess, figure out what that is?
Sure.
Okay, one moment. 27.
Yeah, so looking at this, Hugh, you can tell that this is basically just pure concentrated nothing. That is non existence kept in a single condensed point, and you look at it and you recognize, like, the similarity between that and the blast is that it's pure white. There's no shading, there's no light effects. It's just a streak of white cut into reality, or in the case of the actual source, a point of white popped into reality.
Ah. You do see Hugh pause at that, and he's just, huh? You have a really crazy umbrella. You know that, right? I guess I know in theory it's possible to make a point of nothingness, but it's definitely different to see it. It's wild.
It's certainly interesting. I don't know the full extent of what this thing can do, but for what I do know, it comes in handy.
Oh, I bet. And like, I'm glad you're the one who has it. Um, I don't know if you would have gotten the chance to hear some theories what folks could do with nothingness, but like, even if he hadn't, just looking at that, he probably has a sense of, that's really powerful, actually. You don't want to mess with that willy nilly.
And Memoir kind of laughs and says, "Yeah, no. Let me tell you one thing. You don't want to try and take this out of the umbrella."
Oh, yeah, he's nodding at that. Yeah, definitely not. That probably caused a disaster of some kind.
Think nuclear explosion.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, no, we don't. We prefer not to douse most of the map in whiteout.
Yeah, I kind of like living here with all my friends and family.
Same.
Yeah. Oh, so if you've done an Eldritch Blast, let me show you this. And Hugh's gonna cast Firebolt.
Ooh, fire.
Fire. And like in the same spot where Memoir cast the Eldritch Blast, Hugh's now doing Firebolt. And
I think with a 23, that fucking pierces the tree.
Yeah, maybe. Just like you see a crackling ball of like blue fire just go noom and then plunk, little burst of fire. Though you see Hugh's careful to make sure it's doused out by the time the spell ends.
Memoir will again applaud and just, oh, that was very impressive.
Thank you.
Good aim.
I'm glad. I've had the spell for a while now, so practice helps.
Practice makes perfect.
Exactly.
And Memoir will smile and say, well, I've only got the one other attack cantrip, and it's not as impressive, although it is a bit more flashy.
Can I see anyways?
Sure. Back up a bit, though.
Okay. And well, A, Hugh does have the starry eyes, and B, he does make sure to back up a bit until Memoir says it's alright.
Memoir will nod, and then more of those gold sparkles that you noticed when he was casting the hallucinatory terrain show up, but this time they look more like sand. And it's more of like a flurry of sand that forms a ring around him. And it goes from being gold to red to white. The sand melting and concentrating into several sharp glass daggers. And
you keep on speaking.
he smiles at Hugh and then claps his hands, and with a sound like the ringing of an alarm clock, the daggers shoot off into every direction, but when they get about 5 feet away, they shatter and dissolve into golden dust.
Okay. I recognize the cantrip, but I forgot the name of it. So I'm gonna
Sword
say
burst.
Yeah, sword burst. So I'm gonna say that's the case with you as well, and you're getting a round of applause.
Another dramatic bow.
Yes, good. I recognize that one. I forgot the name of it, but I've
that
seen
one's just called sword burst.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's it. Just when you manifest a ring of swords around you, or like whatever works. In your case, daggers, right?
Made of glass, because for some reason that's what my magic likes to be: is sand, light, and glass.
Maybe you just have an affinity for like earth, light, those kind of things, like how I have an affinity for lightning and electricity and stuff.
Possibly. I think it has something to do with how much I enjoy glass blowing and jewelry making, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, you have Hugh with the starry eyes, and at that, like, you know glass blowing? That sounds amazing.
I've got a couple projects back in the barn if you'd like to see.
Yes, please. And actually, since we've used all these spells, now's a good time for a snack too. I've brought some of March's cookies.
Oh, delightful! I've got tea in the cabinet in the sitting area.
Heck yeah. Then I can pull out the cookies, you can pull out the tea, and well, could I see some of your work?
Absolutely. I made the teapot myself.
Ooh. And Hugh will cheerfully hop on over.
Do we want to say that that's where we end it?
Yeah, sure. So
Because I think that's like a good scene to leave off on, is these two, sitting down for tea and cookies.
Yeah. So I do have one thing to ask. I
Sure.
know a while back you mentioned handing Hugh a bracelet to do with a certain language Memoir knows.
Oh, yeah. I think in a very similar manner to how, Hugh was trying to be very, very sneaky about, about,
the origami crow.
yeah. Memoir will also roll sleight of hand and try and slip it into Hugh's pocket, it being the bracelet.
Heck yeah.
And that's a 21.
Hey, yeah, that gets past Hugh's passive perception.
So Memoir just kind of, distracts Hugh by getting him to look at the pretty blown glass art pieces and then just slides the bracelet into his pocket.
I imagine Hugh only realizes once he's close to home and he's just, immediately picks up the bracelet. That's probably right around the time that, probably right about the time he figures out the echo aspect.
Mm-hmm.
This boy is going to be all cheerful and chirpy at you, Memoir. Good luck.
Good. Memoir's been chirpy to so many other people. We need someone to be chirpy at him.
Yes. And yeah, I think that's a great place to end it then. Just these two enjoying tea and snacks and going feral over the glass blown bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for playing with me. Audience, thank you so much for listening. V-Wild, thank you so much for doing backup recording. And we will see you all next time.
Bye-bye.